But on today's special segment, we have two of the world's top experts on Islamic Jihad, on the Islamic resistance movement, the Hamas. We're going to bring you one from Israel, one from the United States. Fascinating show. From Israel, we have Dr. Mordechai Kedar. From the United States, we have Dr. Andrew Basta. Let's go first to Israel to talk to Dr. Mordechai Kedar. He has spent 25 years with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, working in the area of military intelligence. He is an expert on the Arab mind, the Arab language, Arab culture, and he brings to our viewers a unique insight into the way the Arab jihad mind thinks. He is one of the few scholars who appears regularly on Arab TV fighting the Islamic jihadis there, standing up for the West, for Israel. So let's go now to Dr. Mordechai Kedar. So, Dr. Kedar, just recently, CBS News ran an extended interview with Khalid Mashal, the head of Hamas, in Qatar, of all places. And did you have an opportunity to look at part of that interview?
Yes, I saw it.
And one of the points that Khalid Mashal said was that that this war has brought to the whole world's attention that the siege, the Israeli siege against Gaza, the occupation against Gaza, must end. Now, if he led part of this interview with that statement, with you, your analytical background on military issues and counterterrorism issues and geopolitical issues, what is Mashal saying to the free world, to the West, and what is he saying to the Arab world when he says, now the siege really must end? What does that mean?
Well, it sounds to Western ears as a very logical, very reasonable demand to stop the siege on a city or an area. Why should there be a siege? So it sounds nice, this demand, and many in the West will go forward in order to release the siege on Gaza. However, the demand to release the siege comes from a totally different place. They, in Gaza, they accumulated thousands of missiles in order to use them and to launch them and to kill as many Israelis as they can. But fortunately, we developed this Iron Dome system, which actually thwarted all those missiles, and only unfortunately, two Israelis were killed after more than 2,000 missiles were launched to the Israeli cities. So definitely all those stockpiles of missiles turned to be something which is totally insignificant when it comes to their ability to threaten Israel. Now they need a new system, a new way how to launch missiles. Iran produced something like a cruise missile, which takes totally different route than the missiles which they have, not a ballistic route, but much more flat. And the Iron Dome cannot deal with these cruise missiles which they want to bring from Iran. They want to release the siege so the Iranians can bring by ships those missiles to Gaza so they can target us without the intervention of the Iron Dome system. Now, they could have in the past, they could have smuggled those missiles from Sinai through tunnels, thousands of tunnels which they had between the Sinai, actually Egypt, and Gaza. But since the Egyptian army took care of all those tunnels and blocked them all up, so now only the sea is the way which they can bring those Iranian missiles to Gaza. So this is why he demands to release the siege. This is the main reason. Another good reason is that, as you know,
wait, let's hang on 1 second. Let me pursue that. And I want you, with your expertise living over there in Israel also, to help the ill-informed Westerner who may be in a position of influence to understand that the words that come out of Mashal, the head of Hamas, may not be what he means to the Arab world and to his Gaza fighters and to the Palestinians. He is saying, and Charlie Rose asked him in the interview, can you live with the Jews? Is it possible to coexist with the Jews? And Khalid said, well, yeah, we can live with the Jews. We can coexist, but not as occupiers. So, and again, what you said at the beginning, it seems reasonable that people don't want to be occupied, but there seems to be, what is the genesis or what is the reason for this occupation or siege or whatever you would call it that Israel's doing to contain the military destructive power of the Hamas?
Okay, so there is some kind of deception in what he is saying. When he says occupation, the Western ear hears the occupation of 1967 of what was then the Sinai Desert and the West Bank, with the so-called West Bank, which we call Judea and Samaria, and the Golan Heights. This is what occupation usually is meaning today. But in his vocabulary, occupation is the whole space of Israel since 1948. Means when he says that the Israeli occupation should be removed, he means that the whole state of Israel should be removed. And living with Jews means that we Jews can live under the Islamic rule as dhimmis, means second-class citizens, those who live under the aegis of Islam, obeying Islam with actually almost no right, because we are subjugated to Islam. And this is what he means by we can live with Jews.
Okay, this is an important point. Right now we have going on in Mosul in Iraq, the former ISIS, now the Islamic State, has thrown all the Christians out of Mosul or given them an opportunity either to convert, to be subservient, let Islam rule supreme, to be a second-class citizen, or to leave. Are you saying that the same sort of theocratic geopolitical template would be applied over the state of Israel if Mashal got his way?
Exactly the same thing. Khalid Mashal uses the same sources, the same verses, the same interpretations, the same hadith, means oral tradition quotations, just like Al-Qaeda, just like the Islamic State, just like the jihadists in Sinai, in Libya, in Yemen. All of them use the same texts. The only difference between these organizations is the locations. The Islamic State is still in Syria and Iraq, have a very good aspirations to spread their hegemony over the whole Islamic world. The Muslim Brotherhood are the same. Maybe they might use different methods, not so lethal as we saw in Iraq, but the ultimate goal is the same, exactly the same. Political, there is no, look, Tom, there is no moderate Islam and a radical Islam. Since there is no moderate Quran and radical Quran, there are moderate Muslims versus radical Muslims. And they are radical Muslims. The body of the texts and the ideas and the laws of Islam is the same to everybody. Maybe you can find difference between Sunni Islam and Shia Islam. And there are 4 schools in the Sunni Islam. But the difference is not between radical Islam and moderate Islam, is between radical people and moderate people. And there are many Muslims who are moderate, who wouldn't impose anything on others, but they have no power and they have no ability to influence those who are radical and would shoot anybody who doesn't agree with them. And this is the problem with the radical people who use Islam in order to subjugate Jews, Christians, and other Muslims who do not share the same ideas as they